It's been almost 3 years since I started this channel, and in that time I've covered a wide range of internet mysteries. In this video, we'll take a look back at some of the most mysterious and disturbing examples. These are all from at least 2 years ago, so unless you've been here since the beginning, you probably haven't seen most of them. I will warn you though, if you think my voice is annoying now, you'll probably want to remove your eardrums after hearing it in some of these clips. This was also back in the days where I would appear throughout the video, shortly after I had to chop most of my hair off because I dyed it blue with what was supposed to be temporary hair dye. Turns out it wasn't temporary, and after attempting to bleach it out, I was left with orange hair and fried green ends. I probably could have replaced a traffic light and no one would have noticed. Going from traffic light to lampshade wasn't exactly the glow up I was hoping for, but at least it grew back in the end. Anyway, point is, my voice was annoying, my hair looked atrocious, my editing skills left a lot to be desired, and probably still do. But if you can get past all that, hopefully there are some interesting mysteries here that you might not have heard of. Let's investigate. If you enjoy internet mysteries and generally disturbing content, feel free to subscribe and turn on notifications for more content like this. If you're interested in supporting the channel, you can become a Ko-fi member or a channel member to gain access to uncut videos and other perks, or you can leave me a tip by clicking the thanks under this video. Thanks to anyone who considers this. Simply existing in 2023 is expensive. We're all spending a fortune on bills, groceries, rent and other necessities. One thing you don't have to spend a fortune on is your phone contract if you switch to Mint Mobile, who I'm partnering with for today's video. You may have already heard about Mint Mobile if you've seen the ads featuring Ryan Reynolds, who's actually an owner.
Hey there, it's Ryan Reynolds, owner of Mint Mobile. Enticing, right?
But if not, allow me to introduce you to what could be your best financial decision of the year. Mint Mobile offers premium wireless for as low as $15 a month, and they're built on the nation's largest 5G network, meaning you don't have to sacrifice any coverage, speed or data. You can switch to Mint in as quickly as 15 minutes, and you don't even have to leave your house, as their digital eSIM cards allow you to sign up and activate immediately. The process really couldn't be any easier. If your phone isn't eSIM compatible, Mint will send you a new SIM card free of charge, and you can still keep your old number. All plans include unlimited nationwide talk and text, plus lightning fast 5G and free mobile hotspot, so why wouldn't you switch and start saving today? Scan the QR code on screen or click the link in the description to get premium wireless starting at $15 a month at mintmobile.com/internet investigator. At some point in the early 2000s, hundreds of bizarre websites began popping up in relation to what was coined the Children's Immortality Project. Was this some kind of cult or a weird program for children, or was it something even darker? Let's investigate. So this is a pretty deep rabbit hole, and this video doesn't exactly conclude the mystery. Having researched it pretty thoroughly, I'm still not entirely sure what's going on. But I hope this video serves as an adequate introduction and summary of what we know so far. This mystery was first discussed on 4chan sometime around 2009, though it appears the original post has been deleted. It might be archived somewhere, but I haven't yet been able to find it. A lot of posts on websites in general have been deleted, but enough information remains for us to at least get the gist of the mystery. Sometime in the early 2000s, hundreds, maybe even thousands of strange websites were created by a man named Robert Ray Hedges. Many of these sites were just links to other sites, and many of those sites were links to more sites. Some of them served to explain a bit about what was going on, but simply leave you with more questions than answers. From what I gather, the Children's Immortality Project was founded based on Robert's hypothesis that children could be immortal if they never learned about death. I mean, if you never learned about the game, you could never lose, so maybe he was onto something. By the way, you just lost. Anyway, he stated that procreative sex is the only cause of all death, and therefore it violates "thou shalt not kill," which is definitely an interesting take on a religious view. He also said that the restitution of our inherited sin is to use all of humanity's creative time in mortality resolution engineering. Basically, he was totally obsessed with the idea of immortality. If you're unfortunate enough to have heard about death, you're probably screwed. But according to Robert, changing your diet can increase longevity, specifically by eating a lower calorie, more nutritionally dense diet. Pretty run-of-the-mill charlatan rubbish really, but it's insane how many of these websites he created, and it doesn't even seem like he was trying to sell a product. He recommended books written by other people, but I haven't yet seen him promote anything he's selling himself. He also had entire websites dedicated to conspiracy theories, specifically that water can be used as a fuel and that it's been suppressed by the government. While you can make out roughly what Robert's beliefs are, a lot of the websites are pretty incoherent and come across as the ramblings of a possibly ill man. I'm not even sure what he was trying to achieve. You could follow link after link on those sites and basically get nowhere. The ones that had actual information on them were just all over the place, and it seemed that little effort was made to make them all congruent. While most of them focused on immortality in some way, you'd see a random paragraph of information on one site, then never see it again on another. He proclaimed that he was trying to take over the internet and had websites dedicated to that too, which explains why the sites feature whole sections of keywords which he thought would make his websites more searchable. He seemed to think there was some kind of conspiracy to silence him and prevent his websites being found on Google. This led him to register countless, quote, keyword-rich domain names in order to spread his message. These included ones related to the program, such as children'simmortalityrights.blogspot.com, and unrelated names such as hawaiianvacationrentals.bravejournal.com and titaniumrings.00server.com. A good chunk of these are accessible via Wayback Machine, and they all just have bad formatting, badly edited images, and unfitting music. It's like the remaining ones have been preserved in a time capsule since they were first created. This one shows 9 steps to power for all kids. So far this is the only website I've found that mentions this. It's probably on others, but it's just baffling to me how varied the websites can be. They're not all just paragraphs copied and pasted. There are a couple of interesting points to note about this list, and I think it alone gives us some insight. Step 3. Confirm that human replication is administered solely by females who can easily acquire sperm anywhere in the world and then commence to create a person to be destructively tested. This isn't the only time he's implied that women are to blame for all this. Step 6. Confirm that no person, except for Robert Ray Hedges, and no government, is currently protecting you or planning to protect you from this deadly criminal intent. That definitely sounds like something a cult leader would say. The blogs that have comments enabled show that some people actually bought into this and followed him, or it was just him using different accounts, who knows. He has 2 YouTube channels, one with no uploads, but 2 created playlists which mostly feature music videos. The other has 1 video on the Stanley Meyers water fuel cell. He also has a Flickr account, and the first image you're met with is a not safe for work one, which is not only totally out of place, but it is a bit weird considering how focused on children this whole thing is. When you scroll further down, there is literally photos of children on the same page. He also has at least 2 Facebook accounts, one of which he posted on as recently as October 2017, which is noteworthy because commenters on an archived 4chan post from years before thought that he'd already given it all up for whatever reason, and many of his websites had been taken down or the domains sold before that point. Finally, in terms of social media presence, he was active on 2 different Twitter accounts, the most recent tweet being in September 2017, 1 month before his final public Facebook post. He seemed to be pretty active on all of his accounts. In addition to creating all these websites, I can only imagine how much time and money he spent doing all this. Wayback Machine shows that the websites were updated over the years too, they weren't just created then left alone. It's anyone's guess what happened to Robert, but he'd been doing it for well over a decade at this point. He was certainly dedicated. What happened to him is a mystery in itself though. Why give up on spreading the word when at one point he was so focused on doing so? Did he somehow realise his claims weren't true and give up, or maybe he died? That would explain the apparent absence from social media since 2017. Robert's outlandish beliefs are pretty interesting themselves. You could probably spend hours just clicking through all his websites if you have the patience. But what makes this mystery particularly intriguing is the rumours surrounding it. People who attempted to investigate the websites around the time of the original 4chan post claimed that if they were signed into their Google accounts when clicking through the links, they would receive various types of spam emails, even though they never entered their email address into any of Robert's websites. Most people reported getting generic not safe for work spam, but a few people claimed to have received much darker content. Not all of these users specified what they saw, but some said they received graphic images of animals and even CP, i.e. inappropriate images or videos of children. It's impossible to know if these people are telling the truth or just trying to embellish the whole thing. I'm not even sure that would be possible, but there are enough testimonies in addition to a couple of screenshots of emails to make you wonder. Regardless, it was widely agreed that you're better off not looking into any of this. Rumour has it that there were secret codes hidden in these websites, as well as the emails that people received, which could have just been disguised as spam. It was also said that if you clicked the right links, that you would eventually get invited to become a member. I'm not sure what would happen after that. It was suggested that this could be the work of an SEO bot, which can be used to boost website traffic. I'm not sure exactly how it works, but presumably it could be used to create new websites or to optimize existing ones to maximize traffic. That's easier to believe than someone doing all that work themselves, but it still doesn't answer the main question: why? One theory, which I think is probably true regardless of whether or not anything else is going on, is that Robert is mentally ill. Some people have suspected that he might have schizophrenia, but it could be a number of disorders, and it doesn't really matter specifically what. The ramblings, paranoia, and the obsessions really do hint at some kind of mental illness. Reading between the lines, I consider it a possibility that Robert lost a child himself, and that could be why he became so obsessed with stopping other children dying. It's possible that the reason for his apparent disappearance is that he got psychological help and just gave up on all this, and honestly, that's the best possible outcome. I couldn't find any obituaries online for a Robert Hedges that matched any of the details we know about him, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's still alive. Another theory is that this is some kind of cult. It certainly checks a lot of the boxes. Robert even referred to himself as the Messiah on more than one occasion. He was preoccupied with spreading the word, and he was literally preaching about immortality, which in itself is a little bit culty. There are also a few sites which mention something along the lines of "I need all your lives now to create immortality," which taken at face value sounds pretty ominous, though he could have been speaking metaphorically, I suppose. On one website, he mentions auditioning the most beautiful females on earth for the position of Jesus A. Christ, which suggests some kind of recruitment process perhaps. I don't think there's any question that the foundations for a cult were laid out. I'm not saying Robert specifically set out to create one, but if enough people believed what he was saying and followed him, it would be almost inevitable. With all this happening so long ago and the lack of information on it now, it's hard to say for sure, but thankfully it doesn't seem like he ever gained much of a following. It's been suggested that if this was a cult, maybe it was also some kind of program for children to prevent them learning about death and therefore prevent them from dying. Or it could be some kind of experiment to test Robert's hypothesis. Or maybe even something to do with DNA sequencing and creating a child to be immortal. Another possibility is that this is an ARG. If something like this happened today, it'd probably be instantly passed off as one because they're everywhere now, but back then they weren't quite as common. Maybe some of the rumours were true, and people really did receive strange emails, and clicking around on the sites would lead you to an invite to become a member, but maybe that was something to do with an ARG in itself. There are comments on an archived 4chan thread mentioning that people were invited, though I couldn't find any comments from anyone who was actually invited themselves. If that's all true, it sounds pretty typical of an ARG. It's all just so extensive though. If this really was an ARG, Robert was certainly committed to making it seem real. He spent years and years trying to spread the word and probably spent a lot of money trying to do so as well. I don't believe this theory personally though. I think Robert genuinely believed the things that he put on his websites. Regardless of any other agendas he may or may not have had, I think his primary goal was to spread the word about immortality because he thought it was possible. Regarding the emails, maybe Robert was trying to make money by harvesting email addresses, and the rest of it was all just some big publicity stunt to draw people in. Again though, it's just very hard to believe considering how extensive this all is, and there's nothing to suggest that he actually made any significant amount of money doing this. If anything, I imagine he lost money. The final theory we'll discuss is the darkest, but also the most speculative. On the remaining discussions that can be found online, a very popular theory is that the Children's Immortality Network was actually some kind of front for child abuse, exploitation, or a way for people to share CP online. As I already mentioned, some people claim to have received emails containing inappropriate files of children, and according to this comment from an archived 4chan post, someone downloaded pictures from one of the sites and found encrypted CP. Like a lot of what is recalled online about the mystery, that hasn't been confirmed, and quite frankly I don't want to go looking for that stuff, so I have no idea if it's true or not. When browsing through Robert's websites and social media profiles, I didn't find anything like that, but I didn't attempt to download anything either. The only questionable thing I found was on his Flickr account, where there was a not safe for work image right at the top of the page, and then when you scroll further down there's images of children. The people in the photo were adults, and there were no inappropriate images of children, but it's certainly a weird contrast. It's even weirder when you realise that he clearly thought that children were viewing his websites, and he even directly addresses them on more than one occasion. For example, this picture says, "Maybe you are a child that doesn't want to die," and there are paragraphs on some of his websites that address children under 13, telling them how they can create their own websites and spread the immortality message. If he fully expects children to visit these sites, why have any inappropriate photos of them? There are a few other comments on the 4chan thread that vaguely hinted at similar minorly inappropriate things. One read, "Also, look at the little kid in the car looking at the girl's ass." I'm not sure if that was on one of the websites or in the screenshot that a user had posted shortly before. Robert had a habit of making pretty bad puns, and on a couple of sites he tried to make a pun out of the abbreviation CPU by wording it CP, then U as in YOU, separating the letters CP, which of course led some to think that this was a clue for people trying to access CP. So there are a few weird things, and it does all seem a little bit dodgy, but there's no solid evidence to suggest that any of this centred around anything inappropriate with children. If it was anything like that, why would Robert be so focused on spreading the websites and trying to get them to the top of the search results? I guess he could have been trying to normalise it, but it just seems very risky. I wouldn't completely rule out this theory, but I just don't think there's enough proof to suggest that that's what's happening. I can only wonder if some evidence got lost in posts that were never archived. There has to be some reason why this was such a popular theory. But then again, maybe it was just the most sensationalised theory and people just latched onto it. I posted about all this on the Internet Mysteries subreddit with hopes someone might remember the project or have any further information on it. But while a couple of people vaguely remembered hearing about it, not much new information was provided. However, one user managed to find an interview on YouTube about Robert with one of his friends, Prahas, which I watched after writing most of the notes for this. It's not great, I'm not sure I'd even recommend it. The interviewer spends like 5 minutes in disbelief that Prahas has never heard of Joe Rogan, but he does clear a couple of things up. The interviewer begins by explaining that he remembers looking into the project with friends when it blew up at the time, and that he sent emails to Robert and received coded emails back almost instantly. Price confirms that Robert was a real person, not a robot, and that he single-handedly created all those websites. Apparently he spent 7 or 8 hours most days for 15 years doing so, which is just insane. Price confirms that Robert is unfortunately dead, and that explains why he dropped off the internet. He also claims that the Children's Immortality Project was not a cult, and it was never about CP or exploiting children. But I guess he would say that regardless, if he was either involved or at least covering for a friend. Still, as we already established, there isn't a huge amount of evidence to support any of those theories, so maybe this guy was just being honest. Maybe he didn't even fully know what was going on himself. He speaks more about his experience with Robert than the project itself, so I wonder if he was even involved in it much. Press seems open to immortality and the other ideas, but clearly isn't as far gone as his friend was. His recollection of Robert is positive though. He described him as an eccentric genius. I'm not sure about genius, but he certainly was eccentric. As for my thoughts, I wouldn't rule out something deeper going on below the surface. It's just hard to say now with so many websites deleted or inactive and with Robert no longer being alive. I really would love to see the original 4chan thread, as I think there were probably things that were documented there that were forgotten about when users tried to recall what happened on a later thread. It's entirely possible that Robert was just an eccentric man who may have suffered with some kind of mental illness that led him to become obsessed with the ideas he spoke about on his websites, but that he wasn't some devious cult leader or anything dark like that. I'm almost certain that there's some level of embellishment here. I'm not saying there's nothing more to the mystery, I think there maybe is, but I just think it's become so shrouded in rumours that at this point it's nearly impossible to work out what's true and what isn't. Going back to the websites themselves though, even if there is no huge mystery or conspiracy, they still serve as a fascinating dive into the mind of a fascinating man. Around 7 years ago, a post was made on Reddit by a user whose friend recently moved into a former gang house. They noticed a heavy-duty safe built into the wall in the garage and asked Reddit for advice on how to open it. It wasn't clear whether or not OP ever managed to open the safe, but by chance, someone else moved into the house sometime after and also made a post on Reddit, at which point people realised it was the same safe. The person managed to open the safe, so the mystery is now solved. This is a black and white video that went viral in 2015. It shows a person wearing a plague doctor costume standing in and walking around an abandoned building. No one knows who made the video or why, or what the video itself means. You can find this video on YouTube. This was a website that contained only a few cryptic sentences. As the domain suggests, it seemed like something was going to happen on the 28th of October 2011, though of course it never did, at least nothing noteworthy. There was a phone number on the site which a number of people called, and most reported hearing heavy breathing, followed by a loud beep, but others claimed they heard things that were too disturbing to talk about. The site has been shut down, but still no one knows who created it in the first place or what the purpose of it was. Many years ago, a YouTube video was uploaded that was apparently found footage that the uploader had found on a park bench. This original video seems to have been deleted, but someone else re-uploaded it. The man in the video explains that it's March 2008 and that he's been tripping for 2 months and doesn't know how to make it stop. People suspected that he had taken datura, a powerful and dangerous hallucinogen. There has been debate over whether the video is real or not, but if so, it's terrifying. In 2011, 32-year-old Jack Froese died suddenly of a heart arrhythmia. 6 months later, his friends began receiving mysterious emails from his account. One of these emails read, "Did you hear me? I'm at your house, clean your attic," and was sent to a friend who had a conversation with Jack shortly before he died, where Jack teased him about his attic being a mess. An email sent to Jack's cousin warned him about an ankle injury that happened after he died. This video was rumoured to have originated on the dark web and shows a man eating soup while crying and 2 figures in strange costumes watching him, seemingly egging him on. Some believe that the man was crying either because the meat in the soup was human meat or because he knew he was about to get killed. Rainbot managed to track down the guy who created these characters and the costumes, but he claimed that the costumes had been stolen and that he didn't make this video. So to this day, no one knows who did, why, or what's really going on in the video. Life is known as the website that you can only open once. When you click on the site, you are told that you suddenly need to make an important decision. Who do you save, your mother or an unfamiliar child? You are given a few seconds to decide, and if you don't, both die. What's strange is that after you make the decision, or allow both to die, you can never make the decision again. Every time you attempt to access the page after that, whether on incognito or using different browsers, you will simply see a message stating there won't be a second time. Nine years ago, there was a post made on Reddit where OP stated that they took their cycling bibs out of the dryer and the left suspender was twisted. They tried everything to undo the twist but had no success. Comments suggested various different things to undo the knot, but nothing worked, and it's still a mystery. OP said they got a response from a professor who's an expert in knot theory, and stated that the twist was not possible. The most plausible explanation seems to be that the bib was always like that, it was a manufacturing error, but OP didn't notice, and you'd think it would be something that'd be pretty hard to miss. In 2012, a 4chan user posted a photo of a syringe containing glowing blue liquid, captioned, "37 decides where this is injected." They posted a photo corroborating the post and showing they hadn't just found a photo of the syringe online. Next, a post captioned, "Veins glowing," with a photo of the user injecting the unidentified liquid into his wrist, which caused his veins to glow blue. The user never posted any updates after that, leading some to believe he may no longer be alive. In the early 1990s, an unidentified man decided to explore the Paris catacombs alone, which is obviously a very bad idea. His camera was allegedly found years later by an anonymous group of people who posted the footage online. In the video, he appears to be very deep in the catacombs, and you can see bones and paintings on the wall. Something seems to scare him, and he starts running. The next thing we know, the man has dropped the camera, and shortly after, the video ends. No one knows what happened to him. If you search online for a song called Dolphins by Avril Lavigne, you'll find a few sites that show the lyrics, the first verse of which is, "Dolphins are you, dolphins are me, dolphins are everyone, that includes you and me. They love swimming with people like you and me." Obviously this song wasn't written by Avril Lavigne and doesn't even appear to exist. The simplest explanation is that someone submitted the lyrics as a joke, and other sites just copied and pasted, but there are a number of popular lyric sites, such as Metro Lyrics, that still have this listed as an Avril Lavigne song to this day. There is a recording of a 911 call on YouTube which is quite horrifying. You can hear an old lady, Ruth Price, telling the operator that a man is hanging around her property. Ruth goes quiet and shortly after screams, then the line goes dead. Apparently this was when Ruth was killed by the man. The mystery is that no one knows for sure if this call is real or not. A Spanish website posted an article in 2017 with a photo that was supposedly of Ruth, but this has never been corroborated with another source. Randonautica has been a hot topic for a while now. YouTube, TikTok, and pretty much any other social media platform you can think of has been flooded with videos of strange and weird things found by people using the app. In the most basic terms, it's an app that generates a random set of coordinates to send you on an adventure, hopefully to a place that you may never have visited before. Aside from many mysterious and scary findings from people using the app, it's a whole mystery in itself who is behind the app and what exactly their intentions are. But somehow no one really seems to be talking about that. So I briefly explained what Randonautica is. The ideas behind it, however, are what make it so bizarre. While the app generates random coordinates for you to explore, you are told to focus on your intent. This could be anything that you want to find on your adventure, from physical objects such as orange flowers to something more abstract such as happiness or mystery. The idea behind it is that your mind and your thoughts could have an impact on the environment around you. Now, I wouldn't completely rule out anything. I mean, there's a lot of weird and bizarre things that happen in the world that can't be explained, but I would be lying if I said I wasn't a little bit skeptical. Many people have found some pretty crazy coincidences, but I do think that confirmation bias probably plays a huge role in this. If you're actively looking for something, you're probably more likely to find it. A quick search on YouTube or TikTok will reveal thousands of weird, creepy and strange findings, the most notable of which would be the body in the suitcase found by a group of teenagers in Seattle by using the Randonautica app.
Open it. It stinks, y'all.
It washed on it.
Oh! Oh!
I'm not going to go into too much detail about the strange things that people have found using the app. There's already thousands of videos out there that do exactly that. And I think debatably the bigger mystery is who is really behind the app and what their intentions are. However, I will briefly explain my experience with it. I decided to give it a try last weekend with mystery as my intent. I generated a few locations and picked a couple that were within walking distance of my home. The most exciting thing the exact location sent us to was a man mowing some grass at a dead end of a street. The app started playing up a bit after a while and started only generating locations that were well over an hour away, and honestly I was too lazy for that, so we ended up just giving up on the app and just going on a random walk. We didn't really have a specific destination. If a path looked like it might lead somewhere, then we walked down it. And we did end up finding a couple of minorly mysterious things. First, a suitcase surrounded by a few bags. It didn't contain a body or anything, just clothes, shoes and coriander seeds. Nothing too strange. It was in a pretty nice area just at the side of the road where a gate had clearly once been. So it was a little out of place, but we had a poke around and didn't find anything weird. We carried on walking and found quite a nice little wooded area. We sat down for a few minutes and noticed a DVD tied to a tree branch. We continued walking and soon came across an area with a few trees that had a red X marked on them. Behind two of these it looked like there was some kind of den made with tree branches. Honestly, I was a bit creeped out, so I didn't want to get too close to investigate, but in hindsight it was probably nothing and looked weirder than it was. Maybe the crosses on the trees were just markings of where they were supposed to be cut down. I'll probably end up going back there at some point and maybe investigating further. And that was about it, other than a few slightly creepy looking buildings, but that was probably just me being dramatic. It was a little bit weird that I came across a few things that were kind of somewhat mysterious when I normally never find anything like that. But I was looking for a mystery and I'd probably just chalk it up to confirmation bias. Not only would I be more likely to find something, but anything that I did find I'd probably be more likely to think it was mysterious because I had that in my mind. It was an interesting day though, and I'll probably give the app another try at some point. So what exactly is the real purpose of this app? According to the website, it was created to encourage users to venture outside of their day-to-day routine, but of course the vast majority of companies or apps don't exist solely for the benefit of others. The obvious motivation would be money. I first downloaded the app only a few days ago, so I can't personally confirm anything before that, but apparently when it first came out it was a completely free app. But now they have in-app purchases such as unlimited coordinates, which makes sense. I read somewhere that it's quite expensive to use a quantum random number generator, so it makes sense that they'd have to earn some kind of money to pay for that. There are, however, a few reports of people paying for these add-ons and never receiving them. Could it be some sort of scam? Maybe the app launched initially completely free to draw people in, then they added in-app purchases which wouldn't work but would still charge people. It's hard to know whether this would be intentional or just down to poor managing of the app. I noticed on the website they still have a competition advertised which ended over 2 weeks ago, so there's a sign that whoever manages all of this is maybe not the most organised of people. Joshua Lengfelder, one of the co-founders, has a Reddit account where he has posted asking for advice on how they can do better. He asked how they would go about getting a verified randonaut flare. Something about this and some of his other posts just seemed a little unprofessional. Now I have no idea myself how to assign flares on Reddit, but I'm also not the co-founder of an extremely popular app. It's good that they want to be better, but it does kind of make me question the founders. Are they really tech savvy enough to be running an extremely popular app that contains in-app purchases? Aside from any profit made from add-ons, there are a few other theories on how else they could be profiting from the app. One of these is by selling users data. The website states that the app does not collect user data, only user reports and data about the generated points. As it does not require you to make an account or link a Google or Facebook account, they cannot determine who generated which point. I have no idea if that's true, and there is no way to gather personal data unless someone creates or links an account, but the app definitely knows your starting location, which for many people would be their home address and intended location. I don't know if there's anything anyone could do with that information, but I'm just presenting what I've seen. As a side note, I wonder if it's at all possible that anyone might be able to hack into the app and see that data and maybe use it to track people. Whoever's behind Randonautica could also be conducting some kind of experiment. It's clear they believe that there's at least a possibility that your thoughts can affect your surroundings, so maybe they're using this app to test that hypothesis, and then maybe either directly selling the research or gaining financially in some other way. As I said before, they obviously need to make some kind of money to pay for the quantum random number generator, but beyond that, who knows if their goal is primarily research and not money. They could just be passionate about testing that hypothesis out of interest, though not to say that that couldn't lead to financial gain. While for many the app itself is mysterious enough, there's even more of a mystery relating to who is actually behind the app. The app is supposedly created by the company Randonauts LLC, though this company seems to not exist. I've been speaking with some people from the Internet Mystery Sleuths Discord server. A link will be in the description for that. Huge credit to them for doing the majority of the digging here. I don't think I could have done this video without them. They provided me with a lot of information to include in this video and as a starting point to do my own research on. I'm not sure what their exact process throughout much of the investigation was, but they also seemed to come to the conclusion that Randonauts LLC doesn't exist. I couldn't find any mention of the company on Better Business Bureau or any record of the company existing elsewhere. Nothing really comes up on Google aside from articles stating that Randonautica was created by that company. The Randonautica website lists 3 people as founders/team: Auburn Salcedo, Joshua Langfelder, and Simon Nishi McCorkindale. But even if they genuinely founded the app, it's not unlikely it was financed by other people or companies who may have had agendas. Auburn is also CEO of Presley Media, a PR company which produced the series Ready or Randonaut, which in the episode I watched basically just showed 3 different people trying out the app. There are a few interesting things and coincidences relating to Presley Media, one being that around a year ago they posted a video on Facebook and Instagram where an employee showed a suitcase while giving some packing tips. Inside the suitcase was a human head. It was clearly meant to be a joke, but it's quite the coincidence when you think about the body that was found in a suitcase months later. The most well-known finding from using the Randonautica app. Apparently they also vanished from social media for a while after this post. Some people have even theorised that the perpetrator of the apparent murder was someone from Presley, and that the teens finding the corpse was no coincidence, they were intentionally sent there. Maybe the video was created to make people believe in the theory behind the app when it came out and when the body was found. It could even have been a cry for help for an employee of Presley that found out what was going on, but that's just a theory. Though Presley as a company is a little bit odd and pretty suspicious. They claim to have worked with various well-known brands such as LG, Smirnoff, Dove and Pampers, though it's a bit hard to see why such brands would want to work with Presley. Going off a video on their site, which kinda seems like a trailer for their company, and the Ready or Randonaut show, their style is kinda tacky. It doesn't seem very professional to say the least. Out of all the PR films in the USA, why would these brands pick Presley? I couldn't even find any solid proof that Presley has worked with these brands. The only mention is on Presley's website or in their Vimeo videos. None of it really adds up. Could they have faked working with those brands and maybe made the app as some kind of front for money laundering possibly? The real money may be coming from data mining on the app or through other illegal means. It does seem possible that Presley is either a fake company or a much smaller company than they claim to be, which is a front for something else. It's also been suggested that Presley was once a legit PR firm but ended up getting involved in the wrong investors and it kind of went downhill from there. Maybe Presley started to become scared of the investors or just generally didn't want to be involved in them anymore. So they start trying to make the company look less legit by producing some questionable media and generally making the company look pretty unprofessional. Presley then starts to look like a liability and not worth the hassle and the investors back out. It would explain a lot of the questions we have about Presley, including the fact that they disappeared for quite a while after posting the video of the head in the suitcase. Maybe this was damage control by the investors. The strange ways they have responded to some criticism does not seem like it came from a respectable PR firm, but again, maybe this could be damage control by the investors. There is a possibility that Presley is linked with another company, Kitchen Consultants. We'll call it KC. On the website they list Presley as one of their clients. Presley also recently posted a job vacancy where it listed PR firms that the successful applicant would get a chance to work with. KC claims to work with each of those firms listed in Presley's vacancy. However, this company itself is pretty shady to say the least. Like Presley, it lists many well-known brands they've worked with, from Kellogg's to Unilever to Nestle. But again, beyond this website, there's no easily found evidence that they currently work or have ever worked with such brands. An internet mystery sleuth investigator called the phone number that was listed on the KC website, and whoever answered apparently sounded like a young girl who claimed they had the wrong number and had no idea about KC, which is obviously a huge red flag. KC seems even sketchier than Presley, though as far as I'm aware, Presley has never acknowledged KC publicly. It's impossible to tell if KC is linked with or has worked with Presley in the past, or is just falsely claiming to. So to recap, we have a pretty mysterious app which was either created by a shady PR company that could well be fake or a front for something else, or at least by the CEO of that company, which is also possibly linked to another company that is also very suspicious. None of it's looking great. But no one really knows what exactly is going on with Presley and if there is a hidden agenda behind the app. All we can do is research into what's publicly available. I have contacted Presley to ask about Randonauts LLC and why it apparently seems to not exist. By the time of filming this, I still haven't heard a response. As and when I do find out any more information, I'll make sure to update you all. So usual disclaimer, the theories discussed in this video are literally just theories, not facts. Please don't try and contact or harass anyone mentioned in the video. I'm sure this is a mystery or collection of mysteries that one day we'll get an answer to, but as of now it's still an ongoing investigation. Around 10 years ago, Eleanor Cohen started uploading videos to YouTube of herself singing, either covers or songs that she'd written herself. At some point, however, she stopped uploading and has deleted many of her videos, leaving only 6. Her channel is currently at 10.6 thousand subscribers, so she never became huge, which is surprising as she was very talented. But she did, and still does, have some loyal fans, with comments on her videos being posted as recently as a few days ago. No one really knows for sure why she stopped uploading. I mean, she never made it huge. She had around 10,000 subscribers, so she didn't have a huge following, but she was there in like the early days of YouTube before it became as saturated as it is now. So I think if she'd have stuck at it, she probably could have made it big. 2 different accounts have tried to steal her content and pretend to be her. She has responded to these, but that's the last public interaction I could find from her. Apparently her subscribers received a notification a few months ago of her latest video, which was uploaded around 6 years ago, suggesting she may have at least checked the account recently, but it is impossible to say whether that was her or someone else on her account. Many YouTubers have abandoned their channels over the years. Maybe they just felt it wasn't going anywhere or felt too under pressure being in the limelight. Or maybe other commitments prevented them from continuing to make videos. Any one of these things could have been true for Eleanor, but why wouldn't she let her subscribers know? Some of her fans believe that the reason behind this may be that she had a stalker. User ePlanet had posted about Eleanor before. He seemed to have an obsession with a handful of celebrities such as Katy Perry, Taylor Swift and Lorde. You can find a number of posts on various different websites from this user that sound delusional, possibly hinting at him suffering from schizophrenia. He even filed a lawsuit against Lorde, with the nature of the suit being listed as racketeer/corrupt organisation. Anyway, back to Eleanor. ePlanet claimed that he had increased her following 5 or 6-fold. For all anyone knows, this might be true. I don't believe 99% of what he has posted, but I could buy him promoting her channel. Maybe he gets a bit obsessive, so Eleanor distances herself, and this angers him, so he tries to slander her. Since she disappeared from YouTube, there have been a couple of strange comments left on her videos. One from ePlanet claiming that Eleanor is no longer alive, and another from a different account, or maybe just an alt, which is just bizarre. The comments are pretty unsettling, but there is no evidence to suggest she died or anything. It does seem possible that the harassment from ePlanet may have played a part in why she disappeared from YouTube, but if this was the case, Why did she re-notify people of a video she uploaded 6 years ago? Though I suppose no matter what happened to her, this is still a pretty strange detail. It's even been suggested that Eleanor Cohen is a pseudonym, which sounds quite plausible as there's barely any information about her whatsoever online. Hopefully she's doing okay and she's still making music out there somewhere, but maybe under a real name. As far as I can tell, ePlanet hasn't posted in around 4 months, so hopefully he's got the help he probably needed. User Snapped Fingers made a series of posts on Reddit which led to them supposedly getting lost in the Paris catacombs. Looking at the post history, Snapped Fingers seems to be experiencing hallucinations, and as the posts progress, they become increasingly obsessed with interdimensional beings. They start talking about the Paris catacombs being a portal to hell, and decide to visit to shut it down and get rid of the interdimensional beings. If you want to hear the full story, I included this in one of my Reddit Mysteries videos, which I'll link in the description. In 2013, a YouTube channel by the name of WebDriver Torso began uploading strange videos very frequently, with as little as 1 minute between uploads. Almost all of the videos show a red and a blue rectangle moving on a white background, with the exception of 3 videos. One is a silhouette of Rick Astley dancing, and another shows the Eiffel Tower, and the third was only viewable in France and required a card payment of €1.99 to watch. It showed an episode of the American adult cartoon Aqua Teen Hunger Force, dubbed in Spanish. The mystery is now solved, and I think we'd all be lying if we said it wasn't slightly anticlimactic. "8 years ago, a post was made on Reddit about a strange bridge that had been found in North Wales, UK. Opie and his friends decided to explore inside the bridge after noticing a manhole cover. They found a single fold-away chair facing a wall, where there was a partially torn page from a newspaper or a magazine showing a woman in an erotic position, but the eyes had been cut out of the page. After finding a condom covered in blood, they got out of there as soon as possible. Opie returned to the bridge at a later date and posted photos, but I'll leave all that for you to explore if you want to. Safe is a Turkish YouTuber known for uploading gaming content such as PUBG. Around a month ago, she had over 5 million subscribers and suddenly announced in a 30-second video that she'd be quitting YouTube. She made a seemingly deliberate hand signal which made people extremely worried for her safety. She later appeared on the news in an interview where she claimed to be okay, but people noticed that she didn't look too good, and some theorised that someone was forcing her to pretend to be okay. A few days ago, she started uploading again, though not her usual gaming content, so maybe this was all just a publicity stunt. There are a disturbing number of videos online claiming that she's dead though. A Reddit user made a post a few weeks ago about a Craigslist ad by what they believe to be a cult. The ad was for a, quote, living tree tender / land caretaker and business partner. They talk about having no outside ties and ask if you're ready to be free from the world and its craziness, to feel safe, loved and appreciated, to have a home and a family to call your own. The Redditor emailed whoever put the ad up and was asked if they wanted to meet. Whether or not this is a cult, it's still a very creepy ad. On the 9th of February 2004, Maura Murray disappeared after crashing her car in Massachusetts, USA. She had left campus early that day, telling her professors that she'd be taking a week off due to a family emergency, though there was no family emergency and no one ever saw her again after that. On the 8th of February 2012, a YouTube channel by the name of 112 Dirtbag uploaded an eerie video showing a man looking into the camera, laughing manically. He suddenly stops laughing, then winks at the camera and smirks. Happy Anniversary appears on screen. 112 is the route that Maura disappeared on, and the channel even uploaded a video titled Maura Murray confirming the link. Is this man responsible for Maura's disappearance, or is he just someone playing a prank? I'll leave that for you to decide. The most mysterious song on the internet is the name given to a song whose origin, author, name, and original record date are unknown. The song was recorded from a German broadcast at an unknown date, though it's speculated to have been in 1983 or 84, and it's likely the song was originally recorded sometime around then. A clip was uploaded to YouTube titled "Grave Robbing for Morons," and as the name suggests, it showed a teenager who claimed to have robbed a grave, giving the type of tips you'd expect to see on a 5-minute crafts video, such as telling people to knock out any witnesses so when they wake up they'll think it was a dream. He shows a realistic looking skull throughout the video and claims this is the second grave he robbed. Internet sleuths managed to trace the video to a shockumentary titled "Ensuring Your Place in Hell," though it was never determined for sure if the people in the video had actually robbed a grave and if the skull was real. A few years ago, there was a forum for Buffy the Vampire Slayer, known as the Bloody Board. At first, the forum might have seemed relatively normal, just a bunch of Buffy fans discussing their favourite show, only there wasn't multiple people here. Most of the 40,000 posts were made by one user, Jamie Masters. The user would post very frequently and even had full-on conversations with themselves. The forum was taken down a few years ago now, but you can still read about it and find screenshots online. Kenny Veach was a YouTuber who uploaded videos of his hiking trips. He was very dedicated to extreme treks, stating that after a long hike, some of his toenails would turn black and fall off. He told his subscribers that he'd found a hidden cave while hiking, and the entrance was shaped like a perfect capital M. As he began to enter the cave, his whole body began to vibrate, getting more intense the closer he got. Suddenly he got scared and decided not to enter, though returned to the area at a later date with hopes of getting the cave on video. He didn't manage to find it that time and was criticised as a result, so on the 10th of November 2014 he set out to find the cave again. His phone was later discovered near an abandoned mine shaft, but Kenny was never seen or heard from again. Back in the 90s, there was an extremely controversial website by the name of paranoia.com which hosted shocking, sometimes borderline illegal content. You can access parts of it now by using Wayback Machine, but it's kind of baffling how no one talks about this now, considering what an extreme part of internet history it is. The closest thing I can think of comparing it to is rotten.com, and there's tons of information about that site online. What's even stranger is that searching the site now redirects you to a Disney page, and no one seems to know for sure why Disney would want to buy that domain. Chip Chan is a Korean woman who claims she is being held hostage by a corrupt police officer known as P. She believes that a mind control chip has been implanted in her, which can make her unconscious whenever the operator chooses. She has been live streaming using multiple webcams around her apartment on a daily basis since at least 2008, when she first became well known. People initially thought she was dead due to the fact she sleeps in strange positions for very long periods of time, usually at least 12 hours. She seems to be in poor health and often has outbreaks of skin rashes and wounds, which she uploads photos and videos of. There are many theories about Chip Chan, with the least likely being that this is all a hoax or an art project or something. Considering this has been going on for over a decade, it seems that something is very wrong here. There is a channel on YouTube which uploaded 4 videos within the space of around a year, the most recently being 5 months ago. Each video is a different song and the lyrics are slightly unsettling. What's even stranger is the channel has no name and each of the videos have no titles. It's possible the channel name has a Unicode character, or it could be an error of some kind. I'll leave a link in the description for you to take a look, seeing as I think you'd have a hard time searching for it with no name. Heaven's Gate was an American UFO religious cult founded in 1974. On the 26th of March 1997, the bodies of 39 members of the group were discovered, and it was clear that they had all entered with the intention of reaching an extraterrestrial spacecraft following Comet Hale-Bopp. Just before this, their website was updated with the message, "Hale-Bopp brings closure to Heaven's Gate. Our 22 years of classroom here on planet Earth is finally coming to conclusion. graduation from the human evolutionary level. We are happily prepared to leave this world and go with Ty's crew. After such a baffling and tragic event, the plot thickened when people realised not only that the website was and still is accessible to this day, meaning someone is still paying for that, but someone from the group even still responds to emails. Reddit user DaveTheKnave93 began posting some very strange things on various subreddits around 10 months ago. It appeared that he had developed some kind of obsession with a couple of different individuals online. He posted on a subreddit dedicated to a woman who made adult content, asking if she ever posted any photos of herself as a teenager, because, quote, "In many ways, she is the closest I will ever come to having a daughter, so it would be nice to have fun memories like that to cherish and feel closer to her." His last post was 9 months ago, where he stated he thinks that if you've been a regular in a Twitch streamer's chat, then she owes you at least a 60-minute one-on-one text conversation or a 15-minute phone call offline where you can try to show her you have real chemistry. Around 20 years ago, a user who called themselves John Titor posted on several online forums claiming he was an American military time traveller from 2036. He made a number of predictions for events that would occur in the future, some vague, some specific, but none turned out to be true. Though some people don't think this was a hoax and believe he was from a different timeline where those things really did happen. In 2016, subscribers of Marina Joyce became worried about her when they noticed she was acting strange in her videos. It seemed like someone could have been forcing her to make these videos, and bruises were seen on her arms. In one video, some thought they heard her whisper, "Help me." After Save Marina Joyce began trending on Twitter, police in the area clarified that Marina was safe and well. Everyone was glad to know she was okay, but what on earth happened there? There has never been an explanation, and to make the story even stranger, in 2019 she disappeared for 9 days. People suspected her boyfriend was involved, and he later shared on Instagram that everything is being dealt with, and that anyone who thinks he's acting suspicious is misinformed and doesn't know him. The police confirmed 9 days later that she had been found and that the appeal had closed, but again, no one knows for sure what happened. A few years ago, there were many conspiracies floating around the internet about a daycare in Salt Lake City, Utah, USA. Posts were made by people who lived nearby and claimed that they never saw any children there, and that it just didn't look like a place where children would be when they looked through the windows. Theories ranged from a money laundering operation to human trafficking. It's extremely hard to separate fact from fiction when researching this, but it's an interesting story nonetheless, which is likely solved. 00390 has been uploading strange videos for over 5 years now. The content is extremely varied, but all the videos are pretty unsettling in different ways, some more than others. In some videos, whoever is behind the camera appears to be stalking women without them noticing. One video is even titled "How to Transport a Semi-Unconscious Girl" and shows a man attempting to pick up and drag a woman. It's definitely not unheard of these days for stalkers to use the internet to harass victims, but one of the earlier cases of this was Cynthia Armistead, a respected technical writer in 1996. The stalker made threatening phone calls and messages to Cynthia and posted ads online telling men to contact her. The next day, she received hundreds of emails from strange men asking to set up dates and offering her money for services. She traced the ads to a man named Richard Hilliard who lived nearby. He was arrested and charged but denied any involvement and was found not guilty because it couldn't be proven that he made the calls. A quick search on YouTube will bring up hundreds, probably thousands of videos where people open mystery boxes that they supposedly bought from the dark web. These boxes contain everything from cursed dolls and other paranormal items to syringes and blood-stained items. It's almost certain that most of these boxes were either not bought on the dark web or contained items that weren't what they claimed to be. Still, there's a chance some of these are real, and you'll almost definitely fall down the rabbit hole watching these unboxing videos. 5 months ago, a post was created on Reddit titled, "My father discovered a strange backpack while taking a pee in the woods outside my small hometown in Wiltshire, England." It read, "A few years ago my father was urinating behind a tree in a small area of woodland just outside the small town in which we live. He noticed a backpack on the floor behind another tree. Being naturally curious, he searched the bag to try and identify the owner. Inside, amongst a small number of clothes, was a wallet. Upon opening, he noted the driver's license had a photo of a young Asian man on it. The name on the license has escaped my memory, so for the purpose of this story, I will refer to him as Adam Smith. Luckily, also inside the wallet, there was a small card with his home address on it, presumably for situations exactly like this. Perplexed by this bag, my father decided the best thing to do was return it to the address on the card, which turned out to only be around 3 miles away. When he gets to the front door, he is greeted by an older woman who was around 60 years old. My father asked the woman, 'Does anyone called Adam Smith live here?' Suddenly all of the colour drained out of the woman's face. She shakily replied, 'Adam has been dead for 5 years.' Completely taken back by this, my father pulled out the driver's license to show the woman. She told him that the man on the photo was not Adam, who was her husband. She proceeded to show my father photos of Adam, who was an elderly white man with a beard. Both the woman and my father were totally shocked by this, and when my father showed her the rest of the contents of the bag, she identified some of the objects in there, for example a pocket watch, that had belonged to her deceased husband. Adam Smith died of cancer and not under suspicious circumstances, and to this day no one knows why the bag was left in the woods and the true identity of the Asian man. An update stated that OP's dad went to the police, but they weren't going to pursue an investigation. So this is a pretty bizarre situation, and when I first read it I didn't really know what to think, but my first thought was that it could be some kind of identity theft, but then still, why would this man have Adam's belongings? This was suggested in the comments. Maybe it was an illegal immigrant who stole Adam's identity, and a user suggested that maybe the Asian man was a hospital worker or funeral home worker or even a burglar and stole the items. I don't know if Adam's wife actually wants to investigate this further or not, but that'd definitely be a starting point. Take the driver's license to the hospital where her husband was, or the funeral home that sorted the funeral, and see if anyone recognises the man in the photo. It's still a bit weird that the address is still down as Adam's address, but maybe the thief just didn't get round to changing it, or maybe they just stole an existing licence from Adam when he was still alive, and just changed the photo on it. Unfortunately, the post only had 16 comments, none of which offer any further theories, so I think the identity thief theory is probably the most plausible we have right now. I wonder how exactly the backpack got there in the first place though. I can't imagine it's too common for people to just lose a whole bag. I mean, sure, things can probably drop out of a bag, but to literally just leave a whole bag behind, that's kind of unusual. And if we are to assume it's a case of stolen identity, wouldn't the thief be even more careful with the bag, considering it contained items proving that they are who they claim to be? You'd think they'd be even more careful with it than the average person would be with a bag. It being left in an area of woodland as well, I mean, what was the man even doing there? I wonder if it was intentionally hidden maybe, but then surely they'd do a better job of hiding it. OP hasn't posted much at all since this, let alone with an update, but I guess if the police are refusing to look into it, then there's only so much that OP can do. So I think it's very unlikely that we'll ever get an update or a resolution to this one.
Hi, I'm making this video hoping that there's some people out there are able to help me. Either I have not sleep, means I have total insomnia. I still can't sleep more than 2 hours. That's the best. 2 hours with nightmare is the best right now.
Ricard Siagian began uploading videos right at the end of 2013, showing him working on his clients' tattoos and drawing in his sketchbook. A couple of his videos feature his young son, who takes an interest in his artwork. In addition to his Batak-style tattoo designs, he also created some very interesting and unique psychedelic artwork. You can find a few examples online. I'm not sure quite how well known he was, but he certainly seemed to be a respected artist, and I found 2 interviews online featuring him talking about his work. Ricard was originally from Indonesia, and he may have been living in Russia for some time before moving to Philadelphia in America. I assume he was still working as a tattoo artist in Philadelphia, but I don't actually think he's specified. On the 8th of January 2016, his channel took a depressing turn when he uploaded a video titled "Che Fatal Insomnia, Neurotoxin-Induced CNS Seeking Neuroscience Hospital Support or Stem Cell Hope," in which he explains that he had been suffering from severe insomnia for around 4 months now. He says his body is deteriorating and he is experiencing problems such as a lower immune system. His symptoms started not long after he moved to Philadelphia. He got a urinary tract infection and didn't have health insurance, so his boss gave him some antibiotics, which he later reveals were ciprofloxacin. In this video, he says he won't reveal the name of the antibiotic, perhaps out of fear of repercussions, and he also doesn't want to make this political, though he doesn't go into too much detail on what he means by that, and actually slips up at least once by saying after taking Cipro. The first day he took them, he started feeling a bit better, but the next evening he got heart palpitations, back pain, tinnitus, and a cramp or spasm in his hand that prevented him from straightening it. He took Cipro for 2 weeks, not seeing a doctor for his symptoms because in addition to not having health insurance, the medication wasn't prescribed to him and was given by his boss as a good gesture. When he finished the course, the insomnia began, and every time he tried to get some sleep, his brain just could not rest. It was always active. He finally visited a doctor and was prescribed benzodiazepines, a type of sedative medication that is normally only used as a short-term treatment for severe insomnia due to the risk of dependency. He seems to acknowledge that he will probably die soon and wants to volunteer himself for research, but doesn't totally give up hope that he might recover with the right treatment, in particular stem cell treatment. Towards the end, the video gets harder to watch. Rickard is clearly upset about the situation. He begs anyone who watches the video to help him, and says that he doesn't want to die because he still has dreams, like writing more books and building a school in a poor area. He says he would give away both his legs to be able to sleep for just 3 hours a day without any drugs. After this video, there are a few more showing him drawing again, and some that are in another language, I presume Indonesian or Russian. I couldn't find any translations and there are no subtitles to auto-translate on the video, so I have no idea what he's saying in those. The next video in English is on the 21st of January. It's basically a rehash of the first video we uploaded explaining his condition, though he talks about how he believes his spinal cord is already damaged and his neurons have been destroyed, and also mentions that he can't walk for more than a minute now. The same day, he uploaded a video titled Conspiracy Theory Fact, in which he rambles for 3 minutes to make a point that I think has something to do with fake conspiracies being created to distract from the true conspiracies. Some see this video, and some of the later ones, as evidence of Rickard's mental decline, which it could be. However, going off old social media posts, it seems that he was always a bit of a conspiracy theorist and a somewhat paranoid person in general. He talks about having psychedelic experiences in one of the interviews, so I assume he took drugs, and that might have something to do with it, depending on what drugs. In a Facebook post on the 22nd of March, Rickard posted his conversation with a neuroscience hospital in China that specialises in stem cell treatment. The doctor believed that stem cell therapy could help him and allow him to sleep, though he couldn't afford the cost of flying to China, let alone the $25,000 to $30,000 for the treatment. It was the end of April before Rickard uploaded on YouTube again. This time he posted 2 short clips showing him trying to sleep, but his body jolts preventing him from doing so. The next month, he showed his fingers shaking and his face covered in dead skin cells. Rickard continued to post inconsistently over the next few months, a few more clips of him trying to sleep, some of him explaining his symptoms in further detail and asking for people to donate to his fundraiser to help him. Soon he was no longer able to take care of his son, and by October he was bedridden. In November, he uploaded a video titled Message to Neurologist, where he told his story again from start to finish, going into more detail on the symptoms he experiences and how they affect him. A few days later, he posted 2 videos, one titled What is God and the other HIV Fact, in which he says he believes HIV was created by the mafia. His final video was on the 4th of December 2016. It's not in English and there are no subtitles, so I'm not exactly sure what it's about, but the description roughly translates to "please download to upload later before being deleted," perhaps implying that he planned to delete the video later but didn't want it gone from the internet. At some point between the 6th and the 9th of December, Rickard sadly passed away, the only comfort being that he could finally rest. The most widely accepted theory, and the one that Rickard believed himself, is that his illness and eventual death was caused by the Cipro he took for his UTI. While the antibiotic was once widely prescribed without a second thought, it's used less today due to the risk of serious side effects. Common side effects are similar to many other antibiotics, mainly nausea and diarrhea, and the vast majority of people don't experience anything worse. But more serious side effects have been reported by some, including pain around the body, muscle weakness, tendon rupture, tinnitus, heart palpitations, heart, kidney and liver damage, and most relevantly, insomnia. Although that one isn't nearly as common as others and isn't even mentioned on many websites, including the NHS. Rickard spoke about many of these serious side effects in his videos, and seeing as he only started experiencing them after taking Cipro, it makes sense that it would be the cause. There are enough reports of serious side effects from Cipro and other fluoroquinolones that the term floxed is sometimes used to describe what the antibiotic can do to people. There are whole communities set up online, including a subreddit, Floxes, for people who have been floxed to discuss their symptoms and offer support and advice to others in similar situations. Some of the posts are from people who only just started taking Cipro and instantly experienced symptoms. They hadn't been warned of the potential side effects and regret not doing their own research first. Others have suffered for months or years and share their experiences and suggestions to help others. The pinned post is particularly useful if you want to learn more about fluoroquinolones in general. It advises in depth what to do if you have had a bad reaction, covers what to take and what not to take for many of the common symptoms, and reassures that these symptoms are probably temporary. Most people make a full recovery. There are other communities that very much focus on the frustration and anxiety that so-called floxes feel, but this subreddit feels different. It seems quite positive and focuses more on recovery. Support groups like this were recommended to Rickard, and it sounds like he read through the information they had to offer, but he couldn't seem to find anyone going through exactly what he was, so it was of no use to him. While insomnia due to Cipro is very rare, it's not unheard of, and I found a few anecdotes online, one being a video that was uploaded by a German man, Aliv Droll, on the 7th of December 2020. He took Cipro in December 2017, and since then has experienced chronic insomnia, linked with muscle jerks like Rickard, but also gut issues too. At the time of filming, he claims to have not slept at all in 4 days, hence his eyes are closed for most of the video. He tried a number of medications, supplements and other recommendations, including melatonin, GABA, cannabis and FMT treatment, and some temporarily helped a bit, but nothing worked long term. This is the only video he ever uploaded, and his most recent comment was 5 months ago, so I don't know if he found a treatment or met the same fate as Rickard. It seems very likely that Cipro has directly caused, or at least contributed, to a number of deaths, but definitively attributing it is difficult because other factors may have been involved. The exact number of recorded deaths varies depending on the source. eHealthMe.com reports 516 deaths, DrugInformer.com reports 626 deaths, and other sites give significantly lower or higher numbers. Anyway, it sounds like Rickard could have been floxed, but we've never actually seen his death certificate or heard from anyone who knew him personally, so we don't actually know what caused any of this, and there are a number of other possibilities. I should probably clear up the fatal familial insomnia misconception. It's what many people to this day believe that Rickard was suffering with as a result of taking Cipro. FFI is an incurable prion disease of the brain. If you've ever heard of prions, you probably already know how terrifying these diseases are. I briefly covered a different prion disease, Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, in one of my Medical Mysteries videos, and I'm probably going to do a whole video on them at some point because they're fascinating but so scary. Anyway, the main symptom of FFI is severe insomnia, which soon leads to dementia and death. It's always fatal. FFI is a genetic condition, so Rickard could not have developed it from taking Cipro. Some experts believe its other form, sporadic fatal insomnia, has a genetic link too, though it could also develop spontaneously. The thought of not being able to sleep until you die prematurely is grim, but both FFI and SFI are incredibly rare. It's thought that only around 40 families in the world carry the gene for FFI, and as of 2011, only 16 people had ever been diagnosed with SFI. If you check out Ricard's videos, you'll see every 5th commenter or so claiming to have FFI, which obviously isn't the case. FFI and chronic insomnia seem to be terms that are used interchangeably sometimes, when they are in fact very different conditions, at least in terms of the cause and prognosis. For the sake of playing devil's advocate, it's not absolutely impossible that Ricard had FFI, because the only way it can be diagnosed for sure is by performing an autopsy after death, and no further information to rule it out has been revealed since he died, but it is extremely unlikely. It seems that he believed he had some form of neurotoxin-induced chronic insomnia that was unique to him, not like the regular chronic insomnia, for lack of a better term, that others suffer with. I've seen people factually state in the comments of his videos that he didn't have FFI or suggest other possible causes, and others have jumped on them, insinuating that they're disrespecting his memory. But I'm guessing that they haven't actually watched his videos, because he outright states that he does not have FFI or SFI. Regardless, I personally think we'd be doing his memory a disservice if we didn't consider all possibilities. After all, in addition to trying to survive and ensure his son was taken care of, Ricard's priority was finding out what was happening to him, and he never got a definitive answer. Ricard took Cipro for a UTI, but in the video message to neurologist, he clarifies that a doctor in Indonesia told him that he never actually had a UTI, but rather an obstruction of the bladder sphincter, if I heard correctly. If the Cipro was the cause of his death, that's even more sad because he didn't even need antibiotics at all. However, this also opens up another possibility that whatever he thought was a UTI was actually the cause of his insomnia and eventual demise. I'm not going to spend too much time speculating on specifically what might have caused this. I'm not a doctor and there are so many possibilities, so I could just be barking up the wrong tree. But if anyone has the knowledge to speculate further, please do so in the comments. Just through googling his symptoms, I found multiple conditions that could fit at least some of his symptoms, ranging from conditions that directly affect the nervous system, such as motor neuron disease and multiple sclerosis, to conditions that you might not initially relate to the nervous system, including various types of cancer. I'm not saying Cipro didn't cause Ricard's symptoms, or that it didn't at least contribute, but I wonder if there was something else at play that never got diagnosed, at least not that we're aware of. It's fairly clear that he did visit the doctor on more than one occasion. In one of his videos, he showed all the medication he'd been prescribed to help him sleep. However, certain details make me wonder how involved medical professionals were, and how much of what Ricard told us about his condition came directly from his doctor as opposed to his own research, which may or may not have been accurate. He actually made a couple of posts on Facebook talking about how doctors tend not to believe that their patients' symptoms are caused by Cipro, implying that his doctor believed the root cause was something else. I'm not dismissing Cipro, but I can't help but wonder if Ricard just needed something to blame and became fixated on Cipro. As sad and scary as this is, sometimes things like that just happen to people. They get sick and it's not always clear why. For some it's more comforting to pinpoint a cause and have something to fight for in a sense, rather than just accept that the cause isn't known. If for whatever reason Ricard couldn't accept that his doctors didn't know the cause, or that they thought it was something else that didn't make sense to him, it's totally plausible that he became focused on trying to figure out the cause himself, likely through researching online. Some have speculated that Ricard, whether intentionally or not, exaggerated how little sleep he got, because as far as his videos actually showed, he didn't deteriorate quite as much as you'd expect if he literally only slept a couple of hours each night for well over a year. At least his face didn't change much between his first and last video about his symptoms, and towards the end he was still able to speak quite fluently in a non-native language, even if he was talking about conspiracies and God. Though going off some of his older social media posts, I'm not sure those topics were so out of character. Objectively, it's hard to judge his deterioration just by seeing him in a few videos, and you can't always tell how ill someone is just by looking at them or hearing them talk. But it is a possibility that Ricard either didn't realise he was getting a bit more sleep, insomnia at any level can cause confusion, or that he was exaggerating his symptoms a bit with hopes that he'd be taken more seriously, which would be totally understandable if he felt that his doctor wasn't listening to him or didn't understand his symptoms. If you look through the comments on Ricard's videos, it's hard to miss one individual using at least 3 different accounts who's hell-bent on exposing him as a fraud. They believe he was intentionally lying about his condition to scam money out of people because in addition to him looking and acting like he slept more than he said, he never showed any proof of his condition. His gestures supposedly suggest that he's lying, such as him looking away from the camera and saying a lot, which is a bit of a stretch to say the least. They also claim that Ricard said he already had insomnia before taking Cipro. I watched all of his videos that were in English and I couldn't find where he said that. While some points this person makes in their comments could potentially cast doubt on some details, I don't see any reason to think that Ricard totally fabricated the whole story. He was clearly suffering and almost certainly died. There are quite a few mentions of his death online, including a Facebook post that appears to have been written by his employer or people he worked with, and the multiple social media accounts I found for Ricard have all been inactive since December 2016 or earlier. But the commenter, who often posts under the name Marcika, somehow believes that Ricard could have faked his own death or that he was mentally ill and decided to take his life. I think it's a plausible theory that he did choose to end. He spoke about it in videos implying that he wanted to but couldn't bring himself to actually do it. A couple of his Facebook posts within the last month or so before his death were hinting more so at it. For example, one on the 9th of November 2016. It's translated to English so it doesn't read perfectly, but you get the gist. When lost all hope and all forms of human fear, irreversible pains, sorrow and abyss has overtaken, considered ending it all. I don't believe those are the words of a man who was faking everything to scam people out of their money. If he did take it'd be even more tragic in a sense, as who knows if the insomnia and other symptoms really were fatal. Maybe he thought he'd die from his condition anyway and he'd suffered enough already. There are many posts on the Floxes subreddit from people who have recovered though, at least for the most part. Some have gone from being in serious and constant pain and being bedridden to walking and exercising again and living relatively normal lives. The length of time symptoms lasted varies from person to person. Some had it bad for a few months, whereas others were only starting to make improvements years after taking Cipro. The recommended supplements seem to help a lot of people, and it seems that Ricard tried some of these very early on to no avail, though I'm not sure he tried everything. From what I gather, the exact formula for recovery is not always easy to figure out. It can be different for everyone and sometimes requires multiple supplements and lifestyle changes such as fasting, so it's possible that Ricard just never found his perfect combination. Throughout my research, I wondered if the medication that Ricard was prescribed could have contributed to his deterioration, which would be even more likely if he really was floxed, but his doctor thought it was something else. Cipro can cause enough problems by itself, but when combined with other incompatible medication, the effects can be so much worse. According to the pinned post on the Floxes subreddit, ibuprofen should be avoided because of an increase of oxidative stress. That's a very common drug that you probably wouldn't think twice about before taking it for a headache or muscle pain. Another medication mentioned is benzodiazepines, which Ricard was prescribed long-term for his insomnia. Benzos are usually only prescribed for a short time for that purpose because of the risk of dependency, and the longer they're taken, the higher the risk of side effects such as depression, impaired concentration and memory, and other cognitive problems. Perhaps this drug, and others he'd been prescribed or was taking recreationally, made the Cipro problem worse and prevented him from recovering like others have. This is quite a complex story if you dig deep. I've been ill for like the last week, so I probably spent way longer than I should have lying in bed researching and overanalyzing every detail. The Cipro theory is pretty solid, but considering what we know for sure about the situation, which is really very little, it's impossible to say. Whether Cipro was to blame or not, Ricard's deterioration and death has educated many of us on the risks of taking fluoroquinolones. I know if I was prescribed Cipro now, I'd definitely be requesting an alternative. It also highlighted the problem with taking medication that you haven't been prescribed. While the negative effects of fluoroquinolones are becoming more well known, unfortunately it seems that they are still overprescribed, so you could still be at risk even if they were prescribed to you. But in this case at least, Ricard just took them without even consulting with a doctor. Had he done so, there's a chance he'd still be alive today, considering it seems he never actually needed any antibiotics in the first place. On the 3rd of March, TikTok user Samantha So, we'll call her Sam, posted a video titled A New York City Mystery. Sam explains how she recently moved into a new apartment in New York and noticed that no matter how high she put the heating, it was always cold. When she walks to the bathroom, she feels cold air blowing on her as she's in the doorway. It appears the air is coming from the hole in the door frame where it closes, if that makes sense. I don't even know what that bit's called, but you can see it in the screenshot on screen now. So Sam tapes up the hole, but there is still cold air blowing from somewhere. As she stands in the doorway, you can see her hair moving slightly as if there is a draft. It's not coming from the vent near the ceiling, a slight draft is coming through the light switch, but not enough to really be noticeable. Then Sam figures out the air is coming from the mirror, which moves. In part 2, she removes the mirror from the wall to reveal a large hole in it, which leads to a whole new room. In part 3, she climbs through the wall, taking a hammer as a weapon just in case, and part 4 shows what she found inside. There are a few rubbish bags on the floor, as well as a water bottle, and it appears that what Sam initially thought was just one room turns out to be a whole apartment. She looks around, then goes downstairs and sees an open door, which explains why it's so cold in there. She then locks the door, gets out of there, and replaces the mirror over the hole. She ends the video with a note, "My landlord's getting a really fun phone call tomorrow." At the time of writing the notes for this video, there are no more updates. Sam has liked comments and replied to some since, so she is still alive, which is good. But that's pretty terrifying, and I don't think I'd be staying in that apartment after that. I hoped when I first watched it that the rubbish bags and water bottle were from some time ago and that no one had been there recently, but one comment pointed out that the water bottle has a green band at the top of the label, indicating it's a new type of recycled bottle which was released only about a month ago. Someone suggested putting a fine layer of flour in the doorways and waiting to see if there were any footsteps, which is a pretty good idea, but I guess we'll have to see if Sam decides to do that. The unlocked door would also suggest that someone had been there recently, but I really wanted to know where that door led to. Was it another room, another apartment, or just out onto the street? From what we've seen, there are a couple of possible explanations for what's going on here. The scariest one is that someone is spying on Sam, possibly the landlord, in which case calling him about it would probably be the worst thing that she could do. I really hope she just ended up calling the police instead. The landlord having something to do with whatever is going on would explain the hole, which there seems to be no other logical reason for. It makes sense that the landlord would be aware of this, it is his apartment, and surely he visited between tenants or at least had the place checked over. The temperature and the draft is surely something that they'd want to fix. Or even if they were one of those landlords that just didn't bother fixing things, they had to at least be aware of it. I just think it's unlikely that the landlord wouldn't know about it, whatever its purpose. Another possibility is that the hole was at one point used for someone to spy on a previous tenant, but since they moved out, the apartment was abandoned, and maybe homeless people have just used it as a place to stay overnight since, hence the water bottle and rubbish bags. The apartment doesn't look like it's actually lived in. There's rubble on the floor and the only signs anyone has been there is the rubbish bags and water bottle. The door being left open suggests someone either just popped out or the place has been abandoned. Someone has to own the property though, and there's no obvious reason why they'd leave the door open rather than lock it from the outside, which could even suggest that whoever has been there recently entered through Sam's apartment, as there are no other obvious entry points, though it's hard to say for sure from the information we have. It's also possible that the previous tenant of Sam's apartment made the hole with the intention of spying on the next tenant through the apartment next to it, but as I said before, I find it hard to believe that the landlord isn't at all aware of the hole, so it should have been filled before Sam moved in. One comment suggested that the place was just being renovated, but that wouldn't explain the hole in the wall. If people were renovating, there is no way they wouldn't notice that, and if they did notice, why is it still there, or why has the landlord not notified Sam about it at least? Even if the landlord isn't up to no good himself, surely he is obliged to at least inform a tenant about the hole, if not repair it. Especially if the door in the next apartment is left open, it's just a disaster waiting to happen. If the place was being renovated, you'd also expect that she would hear construction noises too, but she doesn't mention anything like that. It looks like some kind of attempt at renovation took place there at some point, but there are no obvious indicators that it happened recently. Someone else suggested that it looks like an illegal conversion, like the whole thing was just one big apartment and it got split into two without permission. Someone claiming to be an architect corroborated that, saying it has signs of an illegal conversion. I'm not an expert in that, so I can't confirm or deny, but it sounds like a somewhat plausible explanation for the state of the apartment. Maybe the hole could have been a window between two rooms or a hatch or something, and the landlord just hasn't got around to filling it yet. Obviously that is pretty shady in itself and potentially dangerous. If the conversion is illegal, it's impossible to know whether the renovations would have been done to a standard that would be required by law. And we don't know who the intended residents are. That could bring further problems. There is a possibility that this is a hoax. Sam isn't exactly acting how most people, myself included, would act. If I found a hole in the wall behind my mirror that led to a whole new apartment, I would freak out, get out of there as quick as possible, and call the police straight away. Not put the mirror back and settle for calling the landlord the next day. And I'd recommend that anyone else do the same in a situation like that. Even if it turns out to be less nefarious than it seems, it wouldn't be worth that risk. Even if this isn't some creep who's spying on Sam, it could be someone who's planning on stealing from her or doing anything really. Either way, my mind would jump to the worst, and this is definitely a situation where you'd be better safe than sorry. But Sam just seems kinda chill afterwards. I'm amazed as to how she even went in there. She didn't just poke her head round the corner, she literally walked in and down the stairs. Anyone could have been there. The apartment itself is obviously not a hoax though. I guess we don't know for sure that it isn't part of her apartment and she just set it up to look weird, or even that she owns the apartment and created this just for a viral TikTok. It seems a bit of a stretch though. Maybe I'm just gullible, but I don't think whatever is going on here has just been staged for a TikTok that may or may not have ended up blowing up. I guess there's a chance that there's a logical explanation that she was made aware of when she started renting the property, and she's just hyping it up for a video, but it's impossible to say. And even if there is an explanation, it's still a potentially dangerous situation if anyone could access the apartment and get into Sam's apartment. So this is a pretty scary mystery. I hope Sam is okay and that she updates us if and when she finds out what on earth is going on. Satoshi Nakamoto is the fake name used by the creator or creators of Bitcoin. No one knows if this is a man, a woman, or a group of people. As mysterious as it is that whoever created Bitcoin is unidentified, it's even stranger that they disappeared in December 2010. Some believe they died, and others believe they just had enough of the internet, but they left behind a lot of Bitcoin. Some sources estimate that Satoshi owned over 1 million Bitcoins, which in 2020 would have been around $5 billion. While many people claim to have found weird things using the Randonautica app, the bigger mystery is debatably who is really behind it and what their intentions are. The problem being, the company doesn't actually seem to exist. I uploaded a video on this where I summarise everything shady about the app and whoever is behind it, and shortly after uploading, I received some extremely unprofessional comments from supposed employees of the company. If you want to join the investigation, feel free to join the Internet Mystery Sleuth's Discord server, a link will be in the description. Number stations are radio stations which broadcast numbers or codes, sometimes even Morse code. Most use some kind of text-to-speech to vocalise the numbers. Nobody knows who transmits them, but the main theory is that they are codes for intelligence officers and spies operating in foreign countries. Anonymous is a hacktivist movement known for its cyber attacks against numerous governments, the Church of Scientology, and other smaller scale operations. This is more of a fascinating rabbit hole than it is an internet mystery, although there is definitely mystery involved, considering most of the members involved in these cyber attacks have not been identified. Similarities can be drawn between Anonymous and Valor por Tamaulipas, which is a Facebook page founded by an anonymous user in 2012. Its goal is to share information on drug-related violence and risk situations all across the state of Tamaulipas, Mexico. Many journalists have been assassinated in Mexico for attempting to expose drug trafficking and organised crime, and while this Facebook page has received many threats, it survives because of its anonymity. This is possibly the oldest internet mystery, considering the phenomena has existed since the internet was created. Have you ever sent an email to someone and they never received it? If so, you've probably experienced an internet black hole. Sometimes data simply doesn't reach its destination, but no one knows where it goes. It's possible that this isn't always as a result of a malfunction. Sometimes it's purposeful for nefarious reasons, such as to collect user data. Forrest Fenn, an art dealer and author, hid a treasure chest in the Rocky Mountains, USA. It contained gold and jewels and was thought to be worth at least $1 million. Websites and forums were set up for people to theorize exactly where the treasure might be, and sometimes to arrange expeditions to find it. 5 people died while searching for the treasure, though Fenn decided against calling the whole thing off. The treasure was found in 2020. In 1997, a metal box was discovered in a wooded area around Indian Lake, New York. The box contained damaged photos of children and various documents which indicated the children had participated in an experiment run by the government between 1952 and 1955, known as the Indian Lake Project. There are potential links with MKUltra, but I won't say more as I don't want to spoil it. The man who found the box originally died, but left it to his nephew, who made a blog detailing everything he found. You might be surprised after hearing the name of the website, Daily 5 Tech Tips, that the site actually posts obituaries. The wording of them is quite strange though, almost as if it's been copied from another site, but specific words have been swapped with synonyms. They ask for rewards in the comments, but there seems to be no option to donate. A Reddit user claimed that their family friend passed away and that this site already had an obituary before the death was public knowledge. This relates to Mattress Firm as a brand, but can also be applied to mattress stores in general. A couple of years ago, posts were made on Reddit pointing out how many mattress stores are in close proximity to each other. One user claimed to have seen 4 mattress firms on each corner of an intersection. But these stores are always empty, and how can there be such a constant high demand for mattresses? This thought led people to wonder if it was really a front for money laundering. Marton is a small town in New Zealand, but it's also one of the most bizarre communities on Reddit. From missing people to paranormal experiences and weird traditions, this subreddit is full of mystery and no one really knows for sure whether it's all just one big ARG, or if the members are role-playing, or if they're serious. I have a whole video on Marton, I'll leave a link in the description if you want to check it out. A couple of years ago, a strange glitch was discovered on Google Translate. If you search certain phrases and random words, you'd sometimes see some pretty disturbing translations that some people thought were linked with human trafficking, maybe as a way for people to communicate about it. At least some of these examples no longer work, which possibly gives credibility to the theory, seeing as the translations before were clearly not what the words actually translated to. Mortis.com is a now defunct website that had a login screen that was extremely hard to hack into. It seemed to be linked to a dentist's office, a lawyer, and a high-end security firm. Usenet files, some of which were huge, with weird titles that were encrypted with a password, were discovered that linked back to the site. Other mysterious websites were linked with Mortis.com. Apparently the website was owned by someone named Thomas Ling, though not much information is known about him, and it was reported that he said that the site was just for his wedding photos, though obviously that seems very unlikely. Dan Silly was the name of a YouTube channel where a man would post some very creepy videos. He would show himself outside, filming random women on the street, and even when the women said they didn't want to be filmed, he continued, saying he doesn't need consent, that's a myth. The videos range from extremely cringy to straight up inappropriate harassment. The channel has since been terminated by YouTube due to multiple or severe violations of YouTube's policy, but you can still find clips from the videos online. In 2002, Gary McKinnon was accused of perpetrating the biggest military computer hack of all time, in which he allegedly hacked into 97 US military and NASA computers in the space of 13 months. US authorities claimed he copied data, account files and passwords onto his own computer, and that he deleted critical files, which shut down the Army's military district of Washington's network of 2,000 computers for 24 hours. These accusations couldn't be proven, so Gary was never convicted. Gary himself claims that he was just looking for evidence of free energy suppression and UFO cover-ups. He claims he found images of what looked like extraterrestrial spaceships. Were Gary's intentions more nefarious, or was he telling the truth? And did the USA try to pin more on him to prevent him speaking out on what he claims he found? A couple of years ago, Reddit was engulfed in a mystery that really shouldn't have been as interesting as it was. Which industry is the largest buyer of glitter? Whoever was buying the most glitter didn't want it publicly known that their product contains glitter. There have been many suggestions, from toothpaste to boat paint, and it's likely that someone has come up with the answer somewhere, though it still hasn't been proven. Around November last year, people started noticing adverts for an island named Eroda. However, when they tried to research the island, nothing came up. It was almost like it didn't exist. This is a solved mystery, so there will be a conclusion, but I'll be telling it kind of from the perspective of the mystery, if that makes sense. It's not an unheard of mystery, so sorry if you've already heard it, but a subscriber requested it, and I do think it's quite an interesting and amusing story regardless, so I hope you enjoy anyway. So this mystery first blew up when Twitter user The Brotographer tweeted that he'd seen an ad for a mysterious place named Eroda. The account linked to the ad had only 8 followers and strangely didn't have any information on where the island even was, however it did link to a website. The website didn't really provide any answers though, only more questions. It shows a very basic map of Eroda, like not what you'd use to promote visiting an island. It really only shows the basic shape of the island and where the 4 villages are located, without revealing its location in relation to anywhere else. The website describes Eroda as being known for its quaint villages, lively pubs and fish markets, with a tight-knit and charming community. There are 4 types of accommodation to choose from, and it boasts various attractions from deep-sea diving school to a salon and spa, all pretty normal until you read further. There are a few interesting notes which seem to be traditions on the island. For example, ask the local bartender to pour a glass of ale out to appease the peculiar Celtic spirit Shenandoah, and don't mention a pig in the pub. It also suggested that you don't leave Eroda on odd-numbered days. So it's all starting to sound a bit strange, but maybe it's just a quirky little island in the middle of nowhere that's pretty superstitious and has its own unique culture. Many areas have their own superstitions and traditions that sound kind of strange when pen's put to paper, but make sense to those living there. There are testimonials from a few people who all had a positive experience visiting Eroda. Interestingly, the testimonials are linked to Twitter accounts, which as far as I can tell are real, mostly still active accounts. A day or so after the Twitter thread, a YouTube account was created by the name of Visit Eroda. It uploaded a short video with the same name that was kinda like a normal travel agency advert. However, it was just a little bit unsettling.
Do you remember the way that you felt off the coast of Eroda? Seeing the way the water sparkled below, a picturesque green-blue gradient of ocean, tasting the signature food from the Erodian natives, made with love, feeling the rush of wind lifting you as if you were literally in the center of the world, the sound of the air gliding against your skin as you stare into the brisk dusk. Do you remember smelling the fresh air off the coast of Eroda? No? Make memories for your senses at visiteroda.com. Eroda. No land quite like it.
When visiting the website, you might be a little bit confused as to how exactly you would visit Eroda. It shows 4 different accommodation types, but there's no booking information for any of them. It also mentions regular ferries, but again, no information to book one. There's no contact information for anyone on the island. Basically, all the site does is just describe the island and tell you to visit it, without actually telling you how to go about doing so. Despite social media accounts and adverts promoting the island with pretty legit sounding testimonials, there's no mention of the island anywhere but on this website and the social media accounts linked with it. Googling the villages in the island brought up nothing, and no one could find the island anywhere on a map. If you reverse image search the photos used on the site, they just appeared to be random stock images from various locations in Europe. Simply put, it seemed like the island just didn't exist. Many people online started trying to solve the mystery, including Insider Mind, Night Docs and Nightmind, who all made YouTube videos on it. People were theorising on Reddit, and a subreddit was even set up dedicated to solving the mystery. Burger King even tweeted about it. Various different theories were discussed. Maybe it was some kind of scam. According to the site, it had been up since 2004. If you visit it now, it says 2005, which seems like a scammer trying to make it look more legit. Searching Whois reveals it was registered in around October, a month prior, but there was nowhere to enter any payment details. It couldn't even be to gain ad revenue, as the only ads on the site just linked to the homepage of that site. It wouldn't be a very good scam if the scammers were just losing money in advertising and not making any back through, well, scamming. Maybe it was an ARG. This seemed like the most likely explanation. Every so often, an internet mystery emerges. Sometimes it starts with a strange company reaching out to the public or an unusual event that is documented online. Most of these turn out to be ARGs. But why would anyone actually pay real money to promote an ARG if they aren't gaining financially from it? There were ads on Twitter, Facebook, in a few different languages. I don't know how much ads cost, but I'm guessing that wouldn't have been cheap. When it clicked that Eroda is the word adore backwards, some people soon tried to link the island to an upcoming indie RPG called Adore. However, the story just didn't really seem relevant to the island of Edora. The concept was so different, so this was ruled as a coincidence. It was even suggested that this was some kind of marketing for World of Warcraft. I've never played the game myself and I don't really know anything about it, but people commented on this thread saying that it would be quite a stretch. It was also suggested that it may have been marketing for the Hunter-Killer game. Maybe it was a school project or just something someone or a group of people created for fun, but again, why pay to advertise it? The site was also under a custom domain, which could potentially have been pretty pricey. There were theories that this was relating to climate change somehow. I don't really know what the link was here. As goes the saying, whoever smelt it dealt it. Some people were speculating that whatever was going on had been set up by the guy who had posted about it on Twitter in the first place. Reading through the thread, he seems as confused as anyone would be, but this wouldn't be the first time someone said they came across a mystery or an ARG when they actually created it. So many different theories were circulating, and a lot of people took this pretty seriously. I mean, I was pretty drawn in by it, to be honest. I found it fascinating looking into all the different theories and stuff. A Discord server was created to try and solve the mystery, with over 1,000 people joining, all speculating what could be going on. For anyone watching, the real explanation will either really amuse you or probably be a massive letdown, so I'm sorry if it's the latter. From the off, as soon as the Discord server was created, there were a few people theorising that this could all be something to do with Harry Styles, which sounds really weird, but bear with me. He had a new album that would be released on the 13th of December. Coincidentally, or maybe not so, the date that someone who had left a recommendation for visiting Eroda on Facebook said they would be returning to the island. The album, Fine Line, was to feature a song titled Adore You. Remember, Eroda is adore backwards. People also noted that the website states that the Fisherman's Pub is located on the corner of Cherry Street and Golden Way, Cherry and Golden also being names of songs on the album. Photos were seen of Harry Styles filming for a music video in Scotland, which looked like it could have been Eroda. There were far too many coincidences for this not to be the case, and a couple of weeks later, Harry Styles dropped the music video for his song Adore You, confirming that Eroda had been created to promote his new album and concluding the mystery. So many people wanted this not to be the case. Surely there had to be more to it. It had to be more mysterious than it just being marketing for Harry Styles' new album. The admins on the Discord server were even removing any mention of the possibility of it being Harry Styles marketing. I was a little bit gutted that it didn't turn out to be some crazy deep mystery or something, but honestly, I take my hat off to the guy. He got me. He got us all. This is a great example of guerrilla marketing, and I really think they nailed it. I mean, I forgot who Harry Styles even was after I grew out of my short-lived One Direction phase when I was like 12. I probably would have never even thought of him again had it not been for all this. And after the whole mystery, I ended up giving the music video a watch, and it actually wasn't bad, so the unconventional strategy worked on me at least. So that's it for today's video, and I think it maybe serves as a lesson to us all that sometimes not everything is as mysterious as we want it to be. Sometimes the simplest theory and the one that we all roll our eyes at is actually the right one. On the 5th of January 2020, a TikTok account by the name of I'm Having So Much Fun uploaded 4 videos. They showed a girl dancing and lip syncing, but something was a little off. The girl was acting strange, she looked uncomfortable, and it kinda looked like someone else was forcing her to be on camera. It's almost like she's not quite present, so to speak, at points in the videos. She keeps looking off to the upper left as if someone else is there, and it just seems like she doesn't really want to be recorded, like in this video. In a short space of time, the videos went viral on TikTok and everyone was voicing their concern for this girl. The comments were flooded with people suggesting that she might have been kidnapped and that the kidnapper was forcing her to dance on camera. It was then suggested that this girl might have been Carly Guse, a 16-year-old girl who went missing in October 2018. She left her home in the early morning on the 18th, leaving behind personal belongings including her phone, and has never been seen since. Comparing a photo of Carly to this TikTok user, they do look kinda similar, but their eye colour, eyebrows and other features are pretty different. Regardless, Carly's mother came forward to say that this girl was not her daughter. A few other missing persons cases were dug up and people tried to find connections. Then the videos and the user's bio were deleted, and after, the bio was updated to "This account is for fun, I am safe, thank you." Obviously this just worried people even more, with some believing their kidnapping theories were correct and that the kidnapper had deleted everything because people were onto them. Then a new TikTok user did a live stream where they claimed to be the girl in the videos and stated that they were fine, that they were just dancing and that they didn't mean to worry anyone.
I'm sorry if I worried anybody. There's nothing to worry about at all. Because it was literally just me dancing. That was it. Because I like dancing. That's what the video said, I like dancing.
Which isn't exactly a solid explanation for the strange behaviour. Some commenters didn't even believe this was the girl from the videos, but I think it's pretty safe to say that she is. They look the same, have the same features and the same nose piercing. Despite saying she was fine, this girl was still acting pretty weird. She was shaking and seemed very nervous. You can also hear what sounds like someone breathing pretty heavily in the background. It doesn't sound like she's alone. You might have also heard the tapping in the background. Some people suggested that might be Morse code and might be her way of asking for help, but I don't personally know Morse code, so I can't confirm that the tapping was a message or not. When she was asked why she was filming in the dark, she said,
"Well, no lights on, we haven't got power here."
Which is a bit strange. I mean, how is she using a phone with no power? I mean, sure, she could have charged it and then taken it with her, assuming she's at family's house or something, but her accent is British, so I'm guessing she lives in the UK, and we're in national lockdown right now anyway. Some comments told her to touch her hair or her nose ring if she needed help, and she did so a few times, as well as making what is apparently a sign of abuse with her hands, leading people to continue believing that she might have been kidnapped and that the kidnapper forced her to go live to throw people off the scent. A couple of TikToks were uploaded to the account where the girl told everyone she was okay and asked them to stop doxing her and her family. On the 5th of January, 2 days after the original videos were posted, the user went live on TikTok again. Surprisingly, I couldn't find any clips for this one, but I did catch a bit of it myself. I didn't know how to save any of it as I only really just started using TikTok, but I did make a few quick notes as I was watching it. Basically, it was pretty similar to the other live stream, but this time the girl didn't seem as uncomfortable. She again explained that she hadn't been kidnapped. If she had, why would the kidnapper let her post on TikTok? She said she was acting like that because she was in a bad way, but I didn't catch her giving a specific reason for this. She did, however, say that she hadn't showered or got out of bed in 2 weeks, which could imply that she was maybe not doing so well psychologically. She said she was shaking in the last live stream because she was nervous that a video of her dancing had 1 million views. She claimed she accidentally did the things people told her to do to show she needed help, such as touching her nose ring, etc. You could see the door behind her and it had a lock on it, so comments asked why there is a lock on the door. She said she didn't know and only just realised it was there when comments pointed it out, later stating that it was her family's home and not hers, hence she didn't notice it before. And that's about all I got. Some people still weren't convinced that this girl hadn't been kidnapped though. Eventually someone found the girl's main TikTok account, Chick Philip P-Brain. Nothing I can see on the account looks too concerning. There are standard TikTok lip-syncing stuff and a couple of duets, fitness tips, even spells, but nothing that would suggest that she's in danger. Though I came across a duet on TikTok which showed a clip uploaded by Chick Philip P-Brain, we'll call her Chick for short, on the 16th of December 2020, which showed text messages, presumably from Chick's boyfriend, where he threatened to harm himself and her. The TikTok also featured photos of Chick's bruises and her hand bandaged up. I'm assuming this has been deleted as I couldn't find it, but this duet is still up. And that's pretty much all the information I have on this, so what on earth is going on? Some people still believe that Chick is being held against her will. They think the videos were real, that a kidnapper was forcing her to be on camera, possibly to advertise her in some way. Some of these people believe that it may be her boyfriend, or possibly now ex-boyfriend, who is forcing her to make these videos. She implied that he'd physically harmed her before, so it's possible that he could be doing this. Though I don't think that is the case. I'm not sure exactly what is going on here. There's a couple of possibilities, but I don't think Chick has been kidnapped or is being held against her will. There are some pretty wild theories out there, but I think these three are the most plausible. The first is that Chick is or was suffering from some kind of mental illness and maybe had a breakdown or didn't take medication for however long, and that could explain her behaviour in the videos. I think this is pretty likely considering she did hint at it when she said she hadn't showered or got out of bed in 2 weeks, but why make a whole separate account to post these videos rather than post them on the Chick Philip P-Brain account? The second theory is that Chick was on drugs, thought it'd be a good idea to make a few TikToks for a laugh and decided to make a new account because she didn't want to come across like that on her main account. I could buy that given her behaviour, and it would explain why she was so vague in the live streams, only really saying that she was in a bad way. Maybe she was embarrassed in hindsight and didn't want people finding out that she'd taken something. The third theory is that this is all a hoax and that Chick intentionally acted strange for publicity. On the account that the live stream was on, there is a link to Chick's OnlyFans page. On the Chick Philip P-Brain account, this is also mentioned in the bio. Some people think this is worrying because the girl is underage and someone might be forcing her to do that. But I haven't seen any evidence to show that she's underage. She does look young, but I could just about buy her being 18. Assuming she is of age, her just having an OnlyFans account isn't a red flag in itself, she's probably just advertising it now. Since the live streams, there have been 2 videos uploaded to the livestream account. One is a lip-syncing video and the other is an eyeliner tutorial. This account already has 71.2 thousand followers. You kinda have to wonder if this was just some kind of publicity stunt and the account is now just gonna start posting random TikToks now they have plenty of followers. It seems that Chick wasted no time linking her OnlyFans page, which either ties in with the hoax theory, or she's just found a way to profit from a situation caused by drugs or mental illness. It's even possible that she did all this for publicity and just realised after how bad it all looked and started backtracking. If this was all just a hoax, it's pretty awful to be honest. Thousands of people were genuinely worried about this girl. People submitted tips to various police departments trying to locate her and making sure she wasn't in danger. But while I think it's safe to assume that she hasn't been kidnapped, only Chick herself knows whether or not this is a hoax. She'd have to be a pretty good actor to have so many people fooled, but that's not impossible. though I'm still not sure why she'd create a new account for this. She has 43,000 followers on the Chick-fil-A P-Brain account. Why not just pull this stunt on there and gain more on her main account? She has posted on her main account since all this happened. I don't know if she just plans to stay active on both accounts now or what's going on, but even if we can't make total sense of this situation, at least we know that Chick is okay and probably isn't being held against her will. I'm sure it goes without saying, but please don't attempt to dox or harass this girl. There's a chance this could have been a hoax, but there's also a chance that the videos we saw showed a breakdown of sorts. Follow her if you want, speculate on the situation, but don't take it further than that. Kutchie's Key West Cafe was a cafe in Asheville, North Carolina, USA. It shut down in 2005 to 2006, but sometime after, someone began posting thousands of reviews online on blogs, news articles and cooking sites. The reviews praise the restaurant and talk about how great the key lime pie is, but there are also odd references in them. Many of the posts were made by a Jake Carson, but there were many other accounts, all posting very similar reviews. People wondered if these were done by bots, but there were countless accounts on websites that required verified emails or captures. Slightly Sociable did a video on this if you want to know more. If you Google Padma McCord, alongside a few sites about the mystery, you should find some slightly odd results. There are a few websites. It seems that some have been taken down, possibly since Nexpo made a video on all this, but that video has since been deleted, I'm not sure why. At one point, Padma had over 40 domains, meaning she spent a considerable amount of money keeping them active. Many of these websites speak about Padma's success in the real estate and investment sector, though the companies she supposedly runs don't appear to exist. The photos of Padma on these websites are badly photoshopped, which somehow makes the mystery even stranger. Cicada 3301 is one of, or maybe the biggest and most elaborate mystery on the internet. On the 4th of January 2012, and then the same date in 2013 and 2014, puzzles were posted online, supposedly with the purpose of recruiting intelligent individuals. The first and second puzzles were solved, but the third remains unsolved. As well as the online puzzles, clues were found in real-world locations such as various states in America, France, Poland and Australia. Theories range from Cicada being some kind of hacker group to them recruiting members for their cult, but the real purpose and who is behind it remains unknown. The deep web is any part of the internet that cannot be accessed using a search engine like Google. For example, you will see some of these pages when using online banking. The dark web is a deeper part of the deep web, which you need software such as the Onion Router browser to access. While not everything on the dark web is illegal, the main use seems to be illegal activity. It's hard to separate fact from fiction when reading stories of what people have found on the dark web, but it likely contains everything from drug dealing to CP. The Mariana Web, the name being inspired by the Mariana Trench, the deepest part of the ocean, is the name given to the deepest part of the internet. Its existence hasn't been proven, but there are many rumours surrounding it. Some believe it contains government secrets and some of the darkest mysteries that have ever existed. Some even think it is run by powerful AI bots that gradually gain sentience, or that the Mariana Web itself is an AI. 973 EHTNAMUH 973 is a strange and elaborate website which you navigate through by clicking on certain things. Some of what you'll see on there appears to be gibberish, but maybe that's just because it has some kind of hidden meaning. A couple of pages in, you'll see some pretty eerie looking images, and the text is full of religious and numerical symbolism. The author of the site has been identified, and it's possible that the site isn't as creepy as it may initially seem, but with some estimating there are 100,000 pages on the site, it's definitely a rabbit hole that could keep you entertained for hours. This mystery begins with the death of Reddit user Religion of Peace, who was a moderator of the since banned Jailbait subreddit and the operator of LakeCityQuietPills.com, which featured similar content. After his death was announced, Someone found strange messages hidden in the HTML of his website, messages that sounded like details for hitmen to assassinate people. The main theory is that the site was used to organise hits, but some believe it's used by former military or contractors to keep in touch. In 2016, a YouTube channel by the name of WorldCorp Enterprises uploaded 2 very disturbing videos. In the videos, the man behind the camera was shouting at a child in a dark room who was screaming and crying behind a glass door. The channel was eventually terminated for violating YouTube's community guidelines. WorldCorpo.net was created to host these videos, along with some other unsettling content. At least one of these videos appears to have been proven to be real, but no one knows where they originated from and whether or not the children in the videos are even alive now. And finally, the most baffling mystery to have ever graced the internet, the one I almost created a 5th tier especially for: who shat in the toilet without flushing?
Well, it was f***ing one of yous. Disgusting!
I'd be interested to hear your thoughts in the comments, plus any other internet mysteries you'd like me to cover in the future. If you enjoyed the video, please consider liking and subscribing. Huge thank you to my Ko-fi members and channel members whose names are on screen now. I really appreciate your support. Remember to click the link in the description to switch to Mint Mobile and start saving today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next Thursday in a new video.